Narwhals, at first glance, look like a cosmic joke, a species so peculiar that you might assume some bored deity was doodling in the Arctic and accidentally invented a whale with a 10-foot spiraling horn. That horn, which sprouts straight from their heads like an underwater unicorn appendage, has fascinated humans for centuries. Early explorers and Arctic hunters, staring at this extravagant dental feature, assumed it must serve some grand, practical purpose. Surely, they reasoned, evolution wouldn't bother with a tusk that doesn't aid survival. Maybe it was a built-in harpoon for fending off orcas or stabbing prey trapped beneath the ice. Maybe it was a multifunctional tool for scraping the frozen seafloor. Maybe it was a cosmic practical joke. Yet, despite the dramatic appearance, scientists and observers alike have rarely seen a narwhal wielding its tusk for these obvious purposes. The whale glides through frigid Arctic waters, the tusk jutting proudly into the currents, yet it rarely sees combat or uses its horn as a weapon. The question arises naturally: if this iconic feature isn't used to hunt or fight, why has it evolved? Is it simply a decorative flex, a giant look-at-me statement in a world of monotone icebergs and endless sea? If so, what does that say about how evolution works under the harshest conditions on the planet? To understand this, it helps to compare narwhals with other tusked animals. Elephants, walruses, and warthogs all grow tusks, which are essentially overgrown teeth. These tusks usually serve critical purposes, digging for roots, defending against predators, or battling rivals. Narwhals follow the same principle in theory, but their execution is unlike any other mammal. The narwhal tusk is a single tooth protruding from the upper jaw, twisting in a mesmerizing spiral and reaching lengths over 2.5 meters. Unlike other tusks, it doesn't curl or taper significantly. Instead, it has unusual flexibility, able to bend nearly a foot in any direction without snapping, a characteristic almost comically inappropriate if one were trying to stab something. Historically, Arctic hunters mistook these teeth for unicorn horns and sold them for astronomical sums. A single tusk weighing around 10 kilograms could fetch what today would be equivalent to over $3.6 million. People ascribed magical properties to these tusks, claiming they could purify water, cure diseases, and neutralize poison. The legends were false, yet the trade was real and profitable, adding layers of human mythos to the natural wonder of the narwhal. Narwhals inhabit the icy waters around Canada, Greenland, Norway, and Russia, regions where life is far from easy. With relentless hunters, opportunistic polar bears, and punishing ice formations, survival demands both caution and innovation. Being mammals, narwhals must breathe air, yet the Arctic's freezing waters complicate this need. In winter, more than 97% of the region's surface freezes over. Unlike walruses, the narwhal's tusk is no ice-breaking tool. It's neither rock solid nor sharp. Instead, narwhals rely on small breathing holes to sustain themselves. These pockets of open water, though life-saving, are precarious. Sudden temperature drops can seal them overnight, creating deadly traps for unwary whales. Narwhals do not migrate south like many other whales. This decision, seemingly counterintuitive, can be catastrophic. Fast-moving ice can lead to what scientists call entrapment, where whales become boxed in by ice, crowding the few remaining breathing gaps. Between 2008 and 2010 alone, 4 mass entrapments were documented. One incident in northern Canada saw over 600 narwhals trapped. Many did not survive, and the survivors faced tight squeezes, oxygen shortages, and hungry polar bears. The stakes of predicting ice formation cannot be higher. A single miscalculation can be fatal. This is where the narwhal's tusk might enter the story, though not in the way one might expect. Despite its unicorn-like appearance, the tusk is a living, highly sensitive organ packed with blood vessels and nerves. Imagine biting into a popsicle with no enamel continuously in 2 Celsius water. Painful, right? Yet that's the reality for the narwhal, whose tusk lacks enamel and is instead made of a porous, spongy tissue called cementum. Beneath the cementum lies dentin filled with microscopic channels, called dentin tubules, that are open to the surrounding icy water. Leaving such a sensitive structure exposed to freezing water seems counterintuitive unless it serves a vital purpose. Scientists have hypothesized that the tusk may detect changes in salinity. When sea ice forms, it traps fresh water and leaves salt behind, causing local water to become saltier. Sudden changes in salinity could indicate the formation of new ice, signaling narwhals to move. This hypothesis is remarkable because the tusk is essentially an external sensory organ. Nerves inside the tusk connect directly to the brain, allowing the whale to perceive subtle environmental changes that most species, including humans, cannot. Experiments support this theory. Researchers fitted 6 male narwhals with a custom device that exposed their tusks to different water samples. The results were striking. Exposure to salt water caused a spike in heart rate, while fresh water caused it to drop. It's not Morse code, but it suggests narwhals can detect salinity, giving them a potential survival edge in navigating dangerous ice-laden waters. In an environment where hundreds of lives could depend on a tiny breathing hole, this sensory capability could mean the difference between life and death. Yet the theory is not without complications. Not all narwhals have tusks. Only males typically grow them, and even then, some never do. Around 15% of females also grow tusks, usually smaller and less spiral. In rare cases, a male may grow 2 tusks, creating a bizarre double swordfish appearance. If tusks were critical for ice detection, evolution would likely ensure all individuals possess one. Instead, survival may rely on collective pod behavior, with tusked males serving as early warning systems and the rest following their lead. However, this raises questions for all female pods with no tusks. How do they navigate the ice? Clearly, tusks are one of many adaptations, not a universal solution. The tusk may also function as a social tool. Male narwhals engage in tusking, a ritualized behavior where they rub their tusks together. This is not aggressive combat, but a method of assessment akin to antler displays in deer or horn clashes in rams. The tusk may help males gauge rivals' strength and stamina without risking injury. However, unlike other sexually selected traits, tusk length does not strongly correlate with reproductive success. The evolutionary role of the tusk is more nuanced than a simple mating ornament. Narwhals are also extraordinary divers, plunging to depths of 1,800 meters 3 times deeper than most military submarines operate. These dives can last up to 25 minutes, occurring 15 to 25 times per day. Narwhals achieve this thanks to collapsible rib cages that withstand immense pressure, thick blubber for insulation, and high concentrations of myoglobin in the blood to store oxygen. This allows them to carry 40 to 100 liters of oxygen in their lungs per dive. Their prey squid, Greenland halibut, and Arctic cod are often sucked in through suction feeding, making the tusk largely unnecessary as a weapon. Occasional footage shows narwhals poking prey with their tusks, but this is rare. The sensitivity of the tusk's nerves, located on the outer surface, would make stabbing painful and impractical. Still, some speculate it could serve as a secondary tool, nudging or probing prey rather than acting as a primary hunting instrument. In a human anecdote, a Polish chef once used a mountain narwhal tusk as a weapon to stop a terrorist on London Bridge, illustrating its potential as a piercing instrument. But in nature, the tusk is far too sensitive for this function. The tusk's true purpose may be multifaceted, a combination of sensory organ, social tool, and occasionally a minor hunting aid. Research continues, but its ultimate role remains elusive. For now, what we know is that narwhals are absurdly well adapted for survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth, and their tusks are as mysterious as they are striking. The Arctic unicorn, as they have been called, embodies the bizarre ingenuity of evolution, a creature so strange it defies easy explanation, yet perfectly suited for the frozen, shadowy waters it calls home. Narwhal's ability to dive to extreme depths is astonishing. When most creatures would be crushed by the pressure at 1,800 meters, narwhals remain unharmed. Their bodies are marvels of biological engineering, designed for endurance and efficiency in a world most of us could never survive. Collapsible rib cages allow their lungs to compress under intense pressure, preventing injury while maintaining enough oxygen for extended dives. Their thick layer of blubber acts as insulation, not just against cold, but also to store energy reserves for long foraging trips. Blood-rich myoglobin stores oxygen efficiently, giving these whales the capacity to carry enough to sustain multiple deep dives without resurfacing. Even their circulatory system is optimized for the Arctic environment. During deep dives, blood flow can be selectively restricted to essential organs like the brain and heart, while less critical muscles temporarily receive less oxygen. This remarkable adaptation allows them to remain submerged for up to 25 minutes, hunting in near total darkness where no sunlight penetrates. Unlike dolphins or other toothed whales that often rely on cooperative hunting near the surface, narwhals often forage alone or in small pods, making each individual's ability to detect environmental changes critical. Their tusks may contribute to this. Acting as highly sensitive environmental monitors, narwhals' feeding habits are fascinatingly efficient. Their primary prey includes Greenland halibut, Arctic cod, and squid. They use suction feeding, a method where they rapidly retract their tongue to create negative pressure, pulling prey directly into their mouths. This technique is perfect for the slippery, fast-moving creatures of the deep Arctic waters. Occasionally, the tusk is observed poking or nudging prey, but its sensitivity makes it more of a delicate probe than a weapon. The tusk, in this sense, could serve as a tactile tool to investigate prey in dark or obstructed conditions rather than as a primary means of hunting. The social lives of narwhals are equally intricate. Males engage in the ritualized tusking behavior, where they cross and rub their tusks together in a complex display. This is not a fight. It is a subtle method of communication and assessment. Each tusk is lined with millions of nerve endings, allowing the whales to feel minute vibrations and pressures through the tusk. When two males touch tusks, they can potentially sense the strength, stamina, and even health of their rivals. This Arctic handshake is an elegant form of nonviolent competition, minimizing injury while establishing dominance and social ranking within pods. The mystery deepens when we consider the rarity and distribution of tusks. Not all males grow them, and some males remain tuskless yet reproduce successfully. Around 15% of females also develop tusks, typically smaller and less spiral than those of males. In extraordinarily rare cases, males can grow two tusks. This diversity raises questions about the selective pressures that shape these features. If tusks were essential for survival, one would expect them to appear in all individuals. Their sporadic presence suggests that while tusks may confer advantages, they are not strictly necessary for life or reproduction, functioning instead as specialized tools for certain individuals. This irregular distribution also highlights a key point about narwhal survival strategies. In pods where only a few males have tusks, those individuals may serve as environmental sentinels, detecting salinity changes or ice formation and guiding the rest of the group to safety. This form of shared survival is rare in nature, but makes sense in an environment where breathing holes can close overnight. trapping entire pods. Even without universal tusks, narwhals have evolved complementary adaptations, echolocation, sophisticated navigation skills, and flexible social structures that allow tuskless individuals to follow tusk leaders, narwhals. Tusks have also inspired human imagination for centuries. The myth of unicorns, magical healing properties, and high-value trade goods has given them a legendary status that parallels their biological marvel. It's a testament to how unusual anatomy can influence both science and culture, linking the natural world with folklore and economy. Even today, mounted tusks, or replicas, are treasured items in museums and private collections, highlighting the enduring fascination with this singular whale. Despite their seemingly impractical tusks, narwhals are highly specialized survivors. Their narrow Arctic niche demands precision adaptations, the ability to dive safely, navigate treacherous ice, detect environmental shifts, and hunt efficiently. Every aspect of their anatomy is tuned to the challenges of frozen waters, from the collapsible chest to the oxygen-rich blood to the sensory tusk. Each adaptation reflects an evolutionary response to extreme conditions, creating a species that is both bizarre and beautifully optimized. The tusk's sensory capabilities remain one of the most intriguing aspects of narwhal biology. The nerve-filled spiral tooth may detect salinity, water temperature, and possibly even pressure changes. This is unparalleled in the animal kingdom. Unlike human teeth, where nerves stop before the enamel, narwhal tusks extend their perception into the external environment. Researchers continue to investigate whether tusks can detect vibrations from predators or prey, adding another potential layer of utility. Its role may be multifaceted: a survival tool, a social instrument, and a symbol of reproductive fitness, each function overlapping and supporting the others. Even their mortality is influenced by environmental hazards. Entrapments caused by fast-moving ice illustrate the precariousness of life in the Arctic. Hundreds of narwhals can become trapped around a single breathing hole, forced to compete for oxygen while avoiding predators. These events are rare but deadly, and they underscore the value of even small adaptations like sensory tusks or coordinated pod behavior. In such a hostile environment, evolution has favored a combination of flexibility, endurance, and environmental awareness rather than reliance on brute strength alone. Despite thousands of years of study, the narwhal's tusk remains enigmatic. No single theory, whether it's a mating ornament, a sensory organ, or a hunting tool, fully explains its evolution. Yet perhaps this ambiguity is part of the story. In nature, not everything has a single purpose. Some traits serve multiple roles, others exist because they confer an advantage in specific contexts, and some may persist simply because they do not hinder survival. The narwhal's tusk embodies this complexity, absurd, elegant, and mysterious all at once, even as humans continue to observe and theorize. Narwhals maintain their silent, ghostly presence beneath the Arctic ice. Their strange anatomy, extreme diving capabilities, and subtle social behaviors remain largely hidden from casual observers. They navigate a world of frozen expanses, limited oxygen, and unpredictable predators, relying on adaptations that are invisible until carefully studied. The tusk, perhaps the most striking feature, remains at the center of both scientific inquiry and popular fascination. In the end, the narwhal reminds us that evolution does not always produce what seems practical at first glance. Sometimes it produces what works best in context, a combination of quirks and efficiencies that ensures survival in a hostile world. The tusk, whether as a sensory organ, social tool, or evolutionary ornament, is a testament to the strange ingenuity of life in the Arctic. It is absurd, magnificent, and almost impossibly specialized, a reminder that nature often defies human expectations, while crafting solutions more elegant than any designer could imagine. Narwhals are, in many ways, bad at existing in the sense that life in the Arctic is brutal and unforgiving, yet they are supremely good at it, thanks to a combination of bizarre anatomy, precise adaptations, and behaviors that modern science is only beginning to understand. The tusk, that spiral unicorn horn of the sea, may not be fully understood, but it epitomizes everything that is strange, fascinating, and extraordinary about this elusive whale. For now, researchers continue to dive, tag, and observe these creatures, piecing together clues about their tusks, social interactions, and survival strategies. Every discovery adds to our understanding, yet also deepens the mystery. Perhaps in the future, we will uncover a definitive answer to why narwhals have tusks, but until then, we are left with a creature that looks ridiculous, survives against incredible odds, and inspires awe at every twist of its spiral horn.